Hi, everybody. Vince August here. It is Friday the 13th, September 13th, 2024. And as you can see, I have something I have not had in a long time, or someone, a guest. And we're going to get to our amazing guest in just a minute. Couple house cleaning things right off the top. One, have laryngitis. Sorry, apologies, but I did too many shows this week. Second thing, everyone reaching out, asking about my beloved Lucy. Today was the best day since she got out of Oradell Animal Hospital. Thank you to everyone at Oradell Animal Hospital. She got rushed there with a condition that hopefully she is going to be out of the woods. We'll find out more on Tuesday. Hopefully there's no surgery or any more medical intervention other than medications. But anyone out there that knows me or is a pet lover knows how agonizing that is. I think that has something to do with my voice too. I think I cried more on Monday than I have in like 10 years since I lost my dad and my last dog. So thank you so much, everyone. Your messages mean the world to me because that's how emotional this was. Third thing, everybody asked me about the debate. Who won a debate, Vin? Who do you think won a debate? Really simple. If you went into the debate not knowing who you were voting for and you left knowing who you were voting for, that's who won the debate. If you went in knowing who you were voting for and you're still voting for that person, that's who won the debate, or at least that's who didn't lose the debate. If you went in thinking you were voting for one person, came out voting for the other person, there you go. That's how I determine who wins debates. In terms of form, was Kamala better? Yes, I think she was. In terms of substance, I thought they were both terrible. I will say who lost the debate, ABC. Wow. Muir really, I think his impartiality took a huge hit. Okay, enough about that because I have an amazing guest and I want to get to her. Whether in law or in the entertainment business, I've been so lucky to come across people that you meet that just hit a chord with you and make you say, wow, this is an amazing story. This is someone that just I admire. I find what their decision making and their career choices and the way they're going about life is so special. And when I got to know this person, the more I got to hear, the more I'm like, I need to interview you. You're going to be my first podcast interview on this new version of my podcast show. And she was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you're going to see why, because this is amazing. Everyone, Garbrielle Penner, thank you for joining me first and foremost. So great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you have such an amazing story. And everyone talks about, my story and career choices, but yours is so similar. And coming from someone now who's older, looking at a young person doing this, I thought what the changes and the things that you've gone through are so gutsy in terms of career. And I know that people throw around the word brave, but I think this is bravery in terms of making career choices and making decisions about your life. And I want to get right into it. So first of all, give everyone a quick background. Where did you go to college? Where did you want to go to college?
Yeah.
What was your major? How'd you wind up there?
Okay, so I'm born and raised in California in the Bay Area. Was there all my life. I really, like, my dream going to school after high school was to go to NYU and to be in Tisch and do the whole dance program thing.
I was on the cross country.
Yes, my dream was, I always knew I wanted to end up in New York. I have family out here. We'd visit every other summer with my family. And it just hit as you said, hit a chord. That's all I can think of. It just hit a chord with me. And I just knew I could see myself there one day. Was on the NYU wait list till the last day. I didn't get in, ended up going to UC Santa Barbara, but it was definitely for the best and meant to be. I was able to double major there in dance and communication. I had a great dance program there. I got to live right on the beach on Del Playa for 3 years, where I could see the Pacific Ocean outside of my living room window, which is insane. And I will never, ever live like that again until possibly I retire with a lot of money. But I don't know, as the starving artist lifestyle that I'm living right now, I don't see that in the future, which I'm totally okay with.
By the way, just if you're seeing the comments, trust me, people will be nicer to you than they are to me because I sound like RFK Jr. So
No, I swear, I
just
think a
know,
raspy voice is good. Raspy
yeah.
voices are
So
good, right?
just know this is right. I was hoping for like male Stevie Nicks. No, I got RFK
Yeah.
Jr. Right. So sorry to interrupt. So here you are.
Good.
You miss NYU, but you
Yeah.
hit, I mean, pretty close to a bullseye in terms of talk about a great college,
Oh,
talk about a
absolutely.
great location. Yeah, amazing
Yeah.
program. So it's a miss in terms of dream school, but
Yeah.
still a hit, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Um, it's nothing I would have imagined. It's in a place that I could see myself going. I always saw myself as a city girl, and I think it was a good place to find myself and grow up in an environment that's very chill and it's right on the beach and
Oh my
everyone's a
God.
surfer, and it really put me in a little perfect bubble. Santa Barbara is perfect.
Oh yeah.
If you could live there and never leave your entire life and be okay with it because you have everything there, and what else do you need?
And Oprah is your neighbor.
Exactly.
Yes.
There's no issues, perfect weather. But I just knew that there was more out there for me. I was by the
Right.
end of year 3 going on my
Now,
senior year.
what's your major? What's your major?
So I was double majoring in dance and communication,
Okay.
which was the perfect balance because I loved communication and media, but I still want to continue my dance route. And it felt like a place where I could do both those things and work on top of that. So I had a pretty busy schedule, a lot of performing, a lot of rehearsals. I worked
Now,
at the,
just
yeah.
for the audience, when you say dance,
Mhm.
okay, be specific in terms of like what is the career aspiration here to become a dancer? You know, because a lot of people don't know. I mean, is it I want to be a rockette? I
Yeah.
want to be a background dancer. Like, what does that mean? Be a dancer?
So I would say that there are two main paths that people can go. One is conservatory, which was me. I trained in classical ballet from age 7 up to
Wow,
today. With
still doing
some
it.
still doing it.
Love it.
Um, with some lyrical and contemporary and other styles sprinkled in there. So
Okay,
um, that's more the conservatory style where you train in a school and hoping to end up in a company. Um,
right.
the other side of it is commercial dance, which is more for advertising and what you see in or like on award shows, those backup dancers
Got
or anyone who's going on tour. That's more commercial dance. Less of my talents in that realm, just because that's not what I grew up on. But through my dance and my trajectory, excuse me, I was aiming to be in a ballet company or a contemporary ballet company.
All right. So now trying to equate this and educate me by all means
Mhm.
in terms of athletics, maybe in terms of a collegiate athlete or maybe Olympic athlete,
Mhm.
is there a window in which you need to succeed or you've been kind of aged out? So, like, for example, you know, if you're a baseball player, after a certain age, if you haven't made it to A ball, double A ball, you know, look, the odds of me ever becoming a pro in the major leagues is out of the question. Gymnastics, same thing with Olympics. Is that similar in dance or no?
I believe so, and I think the age is a lot younger than people would expect.
Okay.
Uh, to hope to be in a big dance company, let's just say New York City Ballet, you would really hope to get into their School of American Ballet by the time you're 14, 15, 16. That's kind of the prime age. Even younger. I mean, people can start there and just work their way up, but you want to
Now,
get,
do you have a concept of that as a kid or no?
I think, yes, you do, just because of,
Oh,
well, I think it depends on the school that you go to and where you're trained. There are
okay.
some schools where they don't really let you go out and audition and try to see what else is out there, and they like to keep you very protected, which is great because they're trying to, not put that comparison is the thief of joy thing in kids' heads at a young age.
Yeah.
But when you put yourself out there and you go to these auditions to try to get into summer intensives, which are a money making thing for these companies,
For
but
them.
yes, exactly. But B, it also gives a bunch of young girls and boys exposure, you can kind of start to tell, okay, where do I lay in the pack? Do I fit with the top tier? Like, what tier am I in? There's almost, the favoritism is insane.
Well, and we spoke off air, and you said
Yeah.
something really interesting to me. In sports, the schools come looking for the athletes. That's not so in dance, correct?
At least in my experience, no. I'm going to say schools in terms of colleges and universities. When it
Right.
comes to wanting to pursue your art in a school,
Sure.
dancers have to go to each of these individual schools and send audition tapes, in-person audition, pay an extra application fee to do the additional application to try to get into their arts program, which takes a lot of time, mental strength, emotional strength, all of that. Meanwhile, on the flip side, athletes, their schools are throwing money at them, trying to get them like to come and join their team, and you'd be a great fit at this university. We'd love to have you, and rep our colors and make our athletic program that much greater and bigger and brighter. So it's definitely interesting because we put in just
Same amount
the
of
same
time.
amount of work and time
Right.
behind the scenes, if not more, if you're doing multiple different styles of dance. It's not like you see a basketball player also playing football and also doing track and field.
Rare. Yeah,
Yeah,
rare. Right.
very rare. There are exceptions to the rule, obviously, always, but
But you hit on something that I want to get to, because I
Mhm.
think this is important, because you said emotional strength as well as physical strength.
Yeah.
Now, I came from a background, my parents were Sicilian immigrants, grew up during the war, World War II. Their country was invaded, taken over by Nazis, not invaded, but freed by American soldiers. So when I first said to my parents, I think I was like 6, 7 years old, I want to be an actor, their immediate reaction, no hesitation, no, because that to them was foreign, as they were foreign to the country. Hollywood was this thing that was meant for somebody else. And they said, look, someday maybe you're going to be the one of the kids that goes to college. Asked again at 13, no. All the way until I got to college, no. So never had that support. And even after I started doing it, then it was the opposite. I protected it from them because I didn't want them to hear the no. They didn't do it in a mean way. They did it in a way that they saw how difficult, and you're talking about, look at what you just described. It's not unattainable because people attain it, but the percentage of success is so small. My parents tried to protect me from that failure. Good intention. Family support for you, same, opposite, somewhere in between?
I'm very grateful to say that I had 100% support from my parents from the beginning.
That's huge.
Which, again, I don't know what I did to deserve that, but I still owe so much to my parents for all of the driving and the flying and the just take your time and it's going to work out, and whatever is meant to be is meant to be. All of that, I'm incredibly indebted to them for.
Because there's a lot of failure.
Correct. And there's
to
no
have someone there to
guarantee.
pick you up.
Yeah, there's no guarantee. As you could be the best dancer in the room and never quite make it because you don't hit it off with a certain teacher or a company director. Like, it's all so subjective. So I'm incredibly grateful that my parents allowed me to do dance and pick it over other hobbies that I had and continue it through college. Some people joke that in college, if you study dance, you're studying unemployment, but I'm glad that they supported me through it, because I think they saw when I was younger that it was teaching me a lot of transferable skills, soft skills that would translate into who I am as a person, and now in the real world, in the workforce.
Discipline, focus, dedication,
attention to detail.
Yeah, and not only that, but because it is, again, not impossible to attain, difficult to attain, because the percentage of success liability is so small, you really can't take off. Because I don't know about you, but I saw it as an entertainer going on auditions, performing. if you did have a lag in stage time, you saw the goal got moved further away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I got to get up more. I got to perform more. Same in dance.
Definitely. Even if you're just sick for a day, I don't think I ever dancers would never take off because they knew if they took off a day, they'd be
That could
behind
be on.
everybody else.
Yeah.
Which I guess is like probably not the healthiest decision, but that's what was instilled in us at a very young age. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the work. After school, let's just say in high school, I was get out of school at 3, walk to my dance studio, which get there at 3:45. I'd have class from 4 to 8:30 at night, and then go home and do homework. And that's just what I was used to, and continued through high school into college. Dancing on weekends, there was never really a day off. Always, I think most athletes can or artists can relate to this. Yeah,
Yeah.
you
I
want to
was
put
just
in
thinking.
as
That's
much
like a
time as you
gymnast.
can. Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to put
Wow.
it in as much time as you can, knowing that it's going to pay off in the end. Just trying to get that little bit better every day. It's like the drip theory. If I do a little bit every day, one day the bucket's going to be full and it's all going to pay off. So, yeah.
Now, this is what I love, because anybody that's listening to this now can't possibly imagine where this career is going to go.
Oh,
And that's
no.
what I love. That's what I love about this.
I am all over
Okay.
the place.
Okay. So now you graduate college.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
So my goal, as I mentioned earlier, I always wanted to end up in New York, but
Right.
it was the midst of COVID. I had been dancing for my, again, dance major from an apartment in Santa Barbara where I was living with 6 girls and 2
Oh,
dogs. I had another dance major who lived in my apartment with me. We bought a ballet bar off of Amazon and we're just dancing in our kitchen while other people were taking tests like on a couch just 6 feet away. And I came to the practical realization that, okay, I'm not in my best shape. I have no space to move. No one was really hiring for dancers at the time. And if
right.
companies were hiring, they wanted to hire back the dancers that they had to have let go from
People got
all
laid
the
off.
jobs. Yes, exactly.
Right.
Because they need to make paychecks too and make a living. And everyone's just in this state of what's going to happen next. So I decided my next job, I just want to be in New York.
Okay.
Wherever it takes me. Again, would love to be in media entertainment in some realm, just to like scratch that itch from the communications major.
Which again, not an actual easy target to hit. So
No,
yeah, so it's not like, it's like New Yorkers that go to Hollywood. I want to be an actor. This is California coming to New York. I want to
yeah,
be in media. Yeah, good luck. So
yeah,
this is, yeah, again, threading a needle. You're not taking easy roads here.
yeah. Nothing was laid out for me. I was like,
Right.
I'm just gonna. It's a make it work moment, as Tim Gunn would say.
Love it.
I just want to find my way to get a foot in the door, make connections, meet people, and the biggest thing for me, I know like it was in the midst of COVID, so it was hard to find, but I wanted a job that was in person. If I was going to move across the country, I wanted a job
Absolutely.
where I would be in an
Yeah.
office and not be stuck in an apartment,
Right.
um, and actually get that social interaction and what I perceived going into it as a traditional work environment.
Okay. So when did you get to New York?
So I graduated college March of 2021. So I graduated a quarter early, but I continued working at my school's athletics department. I did that for about 3 years in social media and marketing
Okay.
up till June of 2021. I moved home for 3 weeks. I had a part-time job at the San Francisco Giants for 3 weeks because of my sports background for the past 3
And
years.
California is like New York, still very much not open after
Correct.
COVID. Right. A lot of
Correct.
restrictions.
A lot of restrictions. I was going
Okay.
to this part-time job at the San Francisco Giants, still wearing masks, like
Yeah.
doing all the precautions. But at that time, I was just had in my head, okay, I'll work at this part-time job for a while. It's still in sports, which I'm like, sports and media, very similar in my mind. Like, again, fresh out of college, you don't know anything.
No,
um, I was like,
clueless.
still, at least I'm doing something that's in person. I was working game days. I was working in this private club where I got to meet really interesting people and people that I would never be in the same room with in any other
So you're
scenario.
successful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like families of the players and people who are made their name for themselves already.
So you got a foot in the door with the
Exactly.
San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
What's the next best move? You know what? Let me get out of here. What are you thinking?
I was only there for 3 weeks, and then
Okay.
my mom and I, because she, again, very supportive, very helpful, always putting her nose in different corners to help me try to find a job. We saw this application for Fox as a production assistant and an executive assistant, and I was like, send out my pardon?
Fox where?
Fox News
In New York.
in New York, in New
Okay.
York. And I was like, send my application in. I need to go. It just felt like the first thing that was a tangible role where I was like, yes, I can do all of this. The job description seemed like it would be a good fit for me. And it just all happened very fast after 3 weeks.
Any specific show or just Fox Network?
Oh, I was working on Gutfeld at Fox News. So it was a late night show, which I didn't know when I was first applying. It just says basically production assistant.
That was my question. Right.
Yeah,
So you didn't know.
Correct. It was production assistant / administrative assistant to on-air talent at Fox News Media as a whole. So you don't know what you're getting.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't know what you're getting going into it. But it ended up being for Greg Gutfeld at Fox News. And the ball just rolled very, very fast after turning in that application. I got the job.
Hold on. I'm going to cut you off. Okay. So when you find out it's Gutfeld, are you familiar with the show? Are you familiar with him? Like, what do you know about the show?
Yes, I am familiar with the show. My parents would watch it at home sometimes. So I know the name. If we're going crazy far back, I don't know if everybody knows this, but this is written in his book. So it's not like I'm revealing any new information. Greg Gutfeld actually introduced my parents to each other. So it's like, that's another layer.
So your parents didn't know this though when they said apply for this job?
Well, yes and no. It was, so he went to high school with my mom, or neighboring high schools with my mom, because all boys and all girls. He went to college with my dad. He introduced them later in life.
Wow.
Yeah. So exactly. I basically owe my life to Greg Gutfeld. One way or another.
Literally.
Yes. Yes.
Wow. Crazy.
But this was one of the random corners that my mom poked her nose into. She knew Greg was in New York, so was like, hey, if you hear of anything, let us know. Yeah. And it just happened that, again, it's all about timing. And we didn't hear anything from him for however long I was applying. And then it all just came up, and he was like, oh, there's this role open. Again, not knowing it was for his show. So going into it, I was just like, oh, I'm just applying for
whatever.
Yeah, something at Fox, which is great. I'm like, I just need an opportunity.
It could have been Neil Cavuto, and you would have been bored out of your mind from 4 to 5 every day. You didn't know what it was.
I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But then once I found out that it was Greg's show, I thought this is a good place for me to start. It's the perfect meld of real world pop culture, things going on, and then the comedy satire on top of it, and the late night aspect.
And it's not Jesse Waters, another bonus.
Oh my goodness. Like, I love Jesse. Jesse's the best. But it was definitely, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I am so grateful that that was my first experience in the real world and as the first step of my career, because I never worked in television before. I worked in sports broadcasting, which is definitely different. Yeah. But I had to find an apartment in less than 2 weeks, moved to New York, my parents just put me on a plane.
So how old were you at this point?
I am 22.
22. Yeah. Coming to New York, getting your own apartment, walking into what's a show at that point on an incredible trajectory. You got to be thinking, you know what? Doing pretty good.
Yeah, I was just grateful for the opportunity and the timing. Yeah. Again, timing is everything. And
Luck.
Yeah, luck, but I never considered myself the luckiest person. I was like, okay, finally my hard work is paying off.
Good. I
Um,
love that. Love that. Because
uh,
it's not just luck. You have to
yeah,
be good at the job. Luck can only get you so far.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. But I was grateful walking in on the first day, meeting my team, realizing how
Okay.
small the team is.
No. We got to stop. First day.
Yeah,
What's your first? So when is your first day?
my first day is July 19th, 2021.
So we're still in that COVID
Yeah.
era of New York. Cuomo is still giving us numbers that we found out are completely wrong. We're still sort of pseudo half open, and you're going into Fox News, and it's a whole new experience. You get there. Who do you mean? What's it feel like? Like, are you like overwhelmed, or no, this is cool? I think this is going to work out.
I didn't feel overwhelmed. I think I was just mostly excited. Like
Awesome.
first time being like in a corporate building. I think I'm surprised that it was just a skyscraper. It's not like a TV studio that I would
Yeah.
expect.
Yeah.
But yeah, walking in the first day, meeting my executive producer, getting to know the team, meeting our comedy writers on the show and Joe and
Well, yes, I know very well.
telling them, "Oh my gosh, I remember telling them I've seen you on TV," which was like such a first day thing to say. But it was true. Like I've seen them on TV and I admire what they did, and being able to say that I worked just a few desks over from them, it just felt
Yeah.
like I was in this very creative environment that was doing something new, doing something off the cuff. Um, Not everyone agreed with, which again is the most important thing I think when it comes to pushing boundaries in
Oh,
art and
we're gonna
entertainment.
we're gonna so get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Quick step back. So now I've had the incredible fortune of working on a couple of major comedy shows,
Mm-hmm.
multiple Emmy winners. When people ask me what's it like working there, well, my part of the job is incredibly fun with a ton of pressure. Can't have an off day. Got to
Mm-hmm.
hit it every day because, hey, there's somebody waiting right behind you to take your job.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a fun environment, but there's a lot of pressure because you got to nail this. Not to mention the pedigree before all of the people on the various shows I've worked for. You're talking about some of the biggest names in the entertainment industry in terms of talk. So when you're there, again, environment, fun, intense, little bit of both. Where is that?
It was definitely a good blend of both. It started off, I think, just more of a pressure cooker because I was still learning the ropes, trying to figure out how I could serve Greg, how I was serving the show, what my actual roles were, just as an administrative standpoint. But then when I got to delve into the production side of it and actually start working with the graphics and the scripts and entering my own jokes and submitting my own ideas, that's really what started to fuel me and fuel the fun part of my job. Not that the
Right.
administrative stuff wasn't fun. You can find fun in that, and somebody has to do
Yeah.
it. Someone always has to do it, and I love being organized, so it worked for me perfectly. Hence my attention to detail and dance. Like here we are. But I realized that the production side of it was something that I could see myself doing more long term. And once I got out of this assistant role that I was in, that again allowed me to give me a seat at the table in a bunch of rooms that I would have never expected myself to be at.
Right.
I could see that the production side could take me further and beyond where I was just on this first lily pad step.
Let's stick with this
Yeah.
lily pad.
Yeah.
Now, you hit on something earlier that I want to get
Mm-hmm.
to. So the immediate reaction to when people saw me originally, I'm going to say within the last calendar year, I did something that's probably unique in that I was a guest on an MSNBC talk show, a CNN talk show, and then wound up on Gutfeld.
Mm-hmm.
And people were trying to piece that together along with the shows that I do warm up for.
Yeah.
And the reaction to me is, wait a minute, how are you kind of going across all of these shows? My answer is simple. I'm a comedian. I find humor in everything. And luckily, some of those places did as well. Now, I'm also going to be quite honest with my audience. A couple of the places, when they found out about the other place I wound up going on, it became, oh, you're there? You know what? Maybe we're not going to have you back on. Was there a moment you realized, hey, I know where I am. This can, and I don't want to use the word pigeonhole, but could cast me in a light of being fit into the mold that is what happens in this building? Was there that moment for you at any point in time?
I mean, I was coming from California, so not everyone was excited about my job. I feel like I just got it off the bat, and I'm like, I didn't let it affect me really. And I don't
Wow.
think I've ever let it really affect me because I know the intention I was going into it with. And I also knew the people that I was working with, everyone
Right.
that I worked with, like everyone's just a human at the end of the day, and everyone's trying to make ends meet and also figure out what they want to do.
It's a
Um,
job.
yeah, exactly.
It's a
So
job. It's a
I
career.
was, yeah, I've met the most amazing people at Fox and continue to talk to them to this day. Like, not that I have my time since being there has been that long, but the relationships that I've built and that I would never, ever, ever want to give back. It
Right.
was, yeah. So I knew
Okay.
going into it that there would be judgment.
You're kind of burying the lead. So
Yeah.
hold on. All right. So you're there for how long
Um,
before you start kind of thinking, what's the next progression?
mhm. So I came into the role being told this is about a 2-year position. Hopefully by then you're out of the assistant role and go and either move up or move on, whatever that means.
Right.
So I think at that 2-year mark, I started to have conversations with other executives at Fox and other people who I admired at Fox just to see,
Okay.
are there any other opportunities here? What could be a path
Sure.
for me? Um, I slowly learned that moving up within a show, as morbid as this sounds, either someone has to leave or they have to die. So for
Yeah.
a position to be open, there's not there's not the ladder to climb is not as, I don't know,
The ladder's crowded.
correct, and it's not
Yeah.
as like there's the timeline isn't like in a different job where it's like, okay, you're in this role for 2 years, then you'll move up, and then you'll get a
Right.
bonus, and then after those 2 years, you'll become a manager. It's not as streamlined, I should say.
Right.
There's expectations of what you think would be the right way to move up, but
Right.
again, we're in a subjective area of life
Now,
and career. So,
now I worked for a TV show back in the day called What Would You Do?
mhm,
And it was on ABC, hosted by John Quinones. It was part of the news division.
mhm,
So I saw a show that was part of the news division. Then I did warm up for a daytime show, which was part of the entertainment division. What I noticed was the turnover in the entertainment division seemed to be a lot more than the turnover in the news division. And I think a lot of that had to do with one was more creative, the other was more, say, analytic. So the opportunity to move and to want to change seemed to be more prevalent in entertainment than in news. Did you kind of see that happening there or no?
I definitely, I would say yes. I think a lot of people were very comfortable in the shows that they were on or um, the roles that they were in, and I think it's easy. I mean, you're churning out a show every day, you're creating a product every day, you can see tangible results, and it can be comforting to know that you're putting something out every day and people are seeing it and it's making some sort of impact. But in mine,
and it's doing well.
Yeah, the numbers are great. The numbers are great. There's no complaints. So
Right.
And on top
And
of that,
then,
great people. Again, everyone that I've worked with, they're incredible.
and you're also, I mean, with the exception of, I guess, I don't know, Newsmax, you're kind of the only game in town that's feeding that side. And
Mm-hmm.
listen, we've got into this discussion between me and you where we've talked about, look, I think Greg is great. The show is fun. I don't look at that show as something that's conservative. I think it's something that's more comedic. Now, again, it's part of the news division, but Greg gives you a big yard to play in as a guest. So, whereas I don't see it that way, the outside viewer certainly does.
Yeah.
So, whereas the rest of the shows, it's pretty obvious what you get, with some exception. Like, I will say this about Fox, and I am much more geared towards independent news sources, YouTube. I read a lot of my news. I will say this about Fox in comparison to the other networks. And again, I probably watched more Fox this year because of my appearances on the show than I have ever before. Fox News has people on that work at the station that I could say, my opinion, actually dislike Trump, if not outright hate him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to name names other than Jessica Tarloff and Juan Williams, but without naming names, I'm naming names. I think Neil Cavuto severely dislikes Trump. You don't see that on CNN, MSNBC, where, I mean, it's almost like when they take a jab at the left, it's a soft punch. It's a telegraphed punch. So I think there is more of that at Fox, but even still, it comes with a stigma.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, do you feel that?
Yeah, there's definitely a stigma just being under that umbrella, but I mean, again, I didn't let it affect me, and I don't think anyone else who works there really lets it affect them, because I know not everybody who works at Fox agree. Like, everyone has their own opinions of everything. Like, everyone's independent and has their own way of thinking, and I think that's why I found it so healthy to work there. Like, as many people probably don't see that from the outside, and not being on the inside, but there were people who disagreed with things, but still, again, would work and got along with everybody else. And I know we're just working behind the scenes, but everyone had the common goal of, we need to put on a show. So
yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that out as someone who's there or was there every day for a 3-year window, because again, my interaction is 10 appearances with Greg. I did Kennedy's podcast. I've been on Will Cain show, and a lot of what I saw with them was they never said to me, don't say this, don't say that. They never asked me what I was going to say or not say, especially Greg. It was, I mean, we kind of knew what we were going to get into, but we never knew the question that was going to get thrown at us. So there was a lot of leeway. Yeah. And I don't think people understand that. Okay, let's get back to you. You're more important.
Oh, gosh, no.
All right. So now you're there for 3 years.
Yeah.
You've been doing this career. Is there a moment where you start getting restless? I want different, more, whatever it might be.
Yeah. I mean, when I started to have those conversations at the 2-year mark of what my next role was going to be, I think or where I saw myself next, everyone kept asking me, what's your dream job? Like, where do you see yourself? I don't think I had an answer yet.
So difficult.
Yeah. And again, I kept telling everyone I love Fox. I would feel weird to leave Fox just because of all the relationships I built and all the people that I would love to work under one day. In that sense, there are so many different realms that I didn't get to explore, especially working on just a single show. I didn't get to work with the podcasting team, or I didn't always get to work with the production team because we were on site in New York. I was just for Greg and Gutfeld.
Sure. Right.
so there was people within the building that I completely admired and was like, one day I'd love to work with them. But again, it's all about timing. It's all about timing.
Right. And you may never even see them on the elevator.
Correct. But I do
Yeah.
say our elevator banks get really busy, and I would always cross paths. Like I was in the elevator bank with Bill Hemmer on my first day, and he treated me like he knew me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was so sweet of him. He's one of the nicest guys ever and will treat everyone the same. So our elevator banks are definitely like crossover episodes.
I tell everyone my last day at Gutfeld will be when I run into Aisha Hasni, because then she's going to get a restraining order from our interaction. So that'll be that'll be my last day there. Okay. So what happens with your career? Because this is ultimately what I want to get to in talking about. To me, there's different types of courage and bravery. And, I don't try to compare them or conflate them in terms of, is a soldier as brave as someone, a mom, this and that. But in career, and when you're trying to pursue something, I think there is a certain level of courage in taking chances. And you told me a couple months ago you had made a decision. And what was that decision?
So after some deep thought and internal reflection and trying to think about coming to that answer of what do I see myself doing next, I realized that I don't see myself in news long term. As much as I loved the show that I work on, I'm at heart not a news junkie. That's not what fuels me. That's not what's gonna it doesn't keep me passionate when I'm going into my job or role. I loved what my job was and what it gave me and everything that I was allowed to do, and getting to start to figure out what I like to write and how I like to write, and realize, oh, I do enjoy performing in the sketches that we showed on the show, and would put those together.
Because you're a performer since you were a kid.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I missed that part of my life.
Yes.
And I tried for a while in that third year to find outlets where I could do that outside of work. So I took improv classes. I was performing with Alvin Ailey. Like I tried to search for other outlets where I could possibly fuel that side of me that I was missing. But I realized that, at the end of the day, I really saw myself either working in entertainment or performing, whether that's, a dream job would be to work on SNL where you can write, you can produce, you can do it all. And because I love being behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera, which again, saying that I enjoy being in front of the camera is new to me.
You love the business.
Exactly. And I love, and I think I started to realize that I liked pushing the boundary, and that's not what I'm going to get in a news umbrella at the end of the day. Again, I think that's why I didn't mind that people didn't love where I was working, because I'm like, art is subjective, and if everyone likes you, then you're not being yourself. So whether that reflects in where I'm working or who I am, I just came to the conclusion that as much as I adore the people that I work with, and I'm so grateful for the show and the opportunities it has given me, it was time for me to break up with my boss.
First of all, I love that you just used the term breakup, because you set that up for me so incredibly well, because as someone who was a divorce attorney as part of my law office, I think that the toughest decision a couple makes or an individual makes in a relationship that is not serving them, and is not maybe serving their kids, and is not serving the other person, is not serving the marriage entity, the family, this is not working, and it's not healthy. And I always ask when I do my interview with someone, was it something that there was that moment you woke up that you realized, or was it just a build up, and then that straw that broke the back moment? Which was it for you, if it was either of those?
I think, well, there was a moment probably like the March before I made my final decision and turned in my resignation letter, where it was the first time where I had like a weekend away and I was visiting my parents, and I was like, I just really don't want to go back to work. And I hated having that feeling, because I've always been an overachiever, whether that's school or hobby or whatever I'm doing. I'm definitely competitive. Um, and the fact that I was going into my job again, something that at the core I really enjoyed, just feeling like I wasn't getting out of it what I wanted to get out of it anymore. Um, I was like, I think this is a wake up call that maybe this isn't quite, either I've outgrown this or I'm getting too comfortable where I'm not letting myself be uncomfortable anymore. Again, you can only grow when you're uncomfortable. And I was just just in this mad lib of a life where I was doing the same thing every day. Like, here is the outline. We're just going to fill in the blanks. Tomorrow will be the same mad lib with just different words.
But it's again, I don't know if you unwittingly did that, but you used an analogy that works in a divorce. And I've heard people say, I don't look forward to going home.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they dread leaving work to go home. And home is one of those places you should never feel uncomfortable going. And the same, I think, applies to work. I tell people, look, I really enjoy doing my job, but at the same time, my favorite moment is Monday through Thursday, 4:15, when I take off the suit, get changed, and go do the other job. And I'll know when that moment isn't there anymore, that it's time to change. And obviously, you had that moment. So now here's the big thing, and this is why I want to get to why this decision is brave. And I'm going to give you how it hit me when you told me. Did you have anything else lined up?
So I've been applying for a year. Once that 2-year mark hit, I started putting applications out. I would say passively. It wasn't fully active at first, just because applying for a job is a full-time job within itself. And I was working in person in a full-time job Monday through Friday, without any summer Fridays, as some people have right now. But I was putting things out there and I wasn't getting enough traction. And I just started to have this feeling, I think I'm treating my next step as if I'm in a doctor's waiting room where I'm waiting for them to call my name. And like knowing that I'm putting things out there, like I'm like, yeah, I put my name and they'll call my name. And nothing was happening. And I had this realization that I really needed to take my foot out of the door, which is Fox, and close it for more to open. So it was just, so I took the chance, and I talked with my parents again. They've always been supportive of me. So grateful. They were supportive of this decision too. I was like, I just feel the need.
I need to meet these people.
They're the best. Everyone who meets my mom, especially my mom, but also my dad. My mom is someone who just lights up a room, and everyone who's met her, from when she used to work at my elementary school to meeting my friends and coworkers now, like she has this effect on people where they're like, I always think about your mom. They always tell me, oh, how's Jody? So adore her, and I adore my dad too.
And just to put this in perspective, look, the people watching this that are not fans of the show, that are not fans of the network, put this in a different perspective and open up your mind for 1 minute. You're talking about someone working on the #1, at least Nielsen rating show. That's the evening talk show. Greg is pulling in bigger numbers by far on a regular basis against Kimmel, against Fallon, and now beating Colbert on a pretty regular and consistent basis. Forget about the other news shows. That's not even close. You're talking about me. So to leave that show without having something else is incredible. And again, this is where I look at someone like you and I say, wow, I envy that. And I find it so incredibly brave. And at the same time, there's a part of me, because I'm more conservative in my approach, which is probably
Mhm.
why I've been stuck in certain places for so long, that I'm like, man, I don't know if I could do that. And people say to me, what are you talking about? You left the municipal court bench to pursue comedy. And I was like, no, I was already a comedian. I
Yeah.
was already successful as a comedian. I wasn't leaving one with the hopes of the other. I already had 16 years of stand-up experience under my belt. I was already doing TV shows. It wasn't like I left one to try the other one.
Hmm.
And listen, I tell people, I love when I go on vacation to like the Keys, San Diego, all these different like
Yeah.
vacation cities. I love sitting at the bar and having dinner and talking to the bartender,
Yeah.
because it's invariably a young person who, when you ask them, so, where you from? And you will get, I grew up in Oklahoma. I worked 2 years in San Diego. I worked a year in San Francisco. Then I went to Texas. Now I'm in the Keys for a couple of years. And they go from place to place. And it's like,
Hmm.
how do you just pick up and go? And it's just like, I need that next challenge.
Yeah.
And I look at that and say, wow, there are some people, like I said, in marriages, in careers, that find it, not that it's good, it not even that it's working, but look, it's security.
Yeah.
I know what it is. Even if I'm not enjoying it, the alternative of taking a chance scares the shit out of them.
Hmm.
How are you just not scared out of your mind relating to those people that find that anxiety and I can't do this? Like, I find it incredibly courageous. Is where is your anxiety level right now, and where are you in this next phase?
My anxiety is honestly at bay, and I don't. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not saying that to brag. Um, I
I
think
have more anxiety for you than you have for you at this point, I
I
think.
I think so too. I think so too. Um, I think this was the first decision that I made that it really is a leap of faith, and it's the first time I'm putting myself first in a very long time, which makes me feel so confident in the decision. I know it's unknown. I know I don't know what's coming next, but I mean, I gave myself a majority of my life in the past 3 years to somebody else and making sure that all their needs were met. And this is the
Sure.
first time in a while that I can do what I want, and realizing that the things that I want are tangible. I just have to put my time and effort towards them. Um, and I think risk reaps reward. And I think in my past, I've been scared of failure, especially, I mean, in dance, yes, you fail a lot, but I was afraid to fail. But from everyone I've talked to and all the mentors that I've had, you need that failure to either learn what you don't want to do or you learn something about yourself.
Oh my
So,
God, this is such a great lesson. I hope there are young people watching this, because and it's so funny. I'm saying young people. How old are you?
I'm 25.
You are the quintessential person. You should be doing TED Talks to
Uh,
colleges
I don't know
about
about
this. No, you
that.
really should, because again, look, I say to people all the time, if you go to college and you know what you want to do and you wind up doing that thing your whole life, I think you are in a very small minority of people,
Yes.
because you grow as a person, you change as a person, and to pick that one thing that defines you for a lifetime,
Yeah.
what is 3/4 potentially of your life, is so constricting. And to knock those walls down and say, I'm not going to be constricted by that, is really a great lesson to tell people,
Yeah.
look, take chances. So where are you now? What are you doing now?
So right now, I'm grateful to say I do have part-time gigs, so I'm not fully starving artist mode. I freelance video edit for someone that I met through Fox on the side, and then I also have a part-time gig working as a hostess at a bar. I know the glamorous
Very
lifestyle, but
glamorous.
it's it's nice to have these avenues where, again, I wouldn't have been if I was just, again, in my comfort zone at Fox. I've already met some very incredible people. I have been in situations where I'm like, okay, this has to be a bit, this has to be a story, like this can't be real. even when I go into my job at the bar that I work at, I'm like, I feel like a cartoon character here sometimes. Does anybody else feel like that? And I think overall, I just feel way more myself than I have been. My parents have said it's so great to hear that you sound like yourself again. You seem more positive. You seem
Yeah.
more energetic, like enthusiastic about what's to come.
I honestly, I'm seeing a difference. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
No, and I'm not blowing smoke.
Yeah.
It's I. So again, having just met you those 10 times, 9 times, whatever it was,
Yeah.
I saw a difference. Like especially the last 2 times. Now,
Yeah.
admittedly, the last time was, hey, by the way,
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
That was breaking news.
Yeah, but I did see a difference in
Yeah.
the energy. So to say that, look, I feel invigorated is incredible because again, here you are almost at that graduated college moment again,
Yeah.
running over.
Yeah.
And it should feel exciting. It
Yeah.
shouldn't feel like despair, which is what we're hearing. I mean, look, when I do warm up, I can't tell you how many college kids are in the audience, and there's this sense of despair
Mm-hmm.
of the world seems like such a dark place. And it's like you graduated from Columbia or NYU or Cornell. I mean, the people that are there graduated from pretty incredible schools.
Yeah.
And to have a feeling of despair, it's like, no, you should be excited about life at that age. Wait until you see what's going to happen. And this happens
Yeah.
to you.
Oh, yeah.
And you hit this age and you sound like RFK Jr. after a week of doing shows and arguing cases. So I think it's amazing that you have excitement. So is there anything in the works? Do you feel like you're on the verge of something, or?
I definitely feel like I have things in the works, or I just feel like good seeds have been planted. I'm trying to network with as many people as I can. Um, I've gotten I'm very grateful to have said, like, I've gotten calls or emails or text messages from people from Fox or people that I met through Fox that have checked in, like, hey, what are you up to? Let me know. I'll keep my ear to the ground if I hear of anything for you. So again, like, I could not be more thankful for that. I'm also talking with a couple of people who are in more of just the production side, entertainment side of the world, and they're hoping to connect me with other people. So yes, there are things in the works. No, nothing's tangible yet, but I feel like this is something that I wouldn't have been able to do if I was still in my role as a producer on Gutfeld. But that's just from my perspective, and maybe somebody could juggle both, but I needed to take a step back.
I feel like I have the best wrap-up question.
Okay.
So let me ask you this. Are you kind of in that place where you were 13, 14-year-old Garbrielle, the dancer, only now you don't have that age restriction to succeed as a dancer? Now there's kind of this open-ended thing. So even though here you are again, putting out the feelers, chasing that thing because no one's scouting you, you're going after it, but there's not that ceiling.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've come, like you're doing a second circle?
Definitely in some sense, yes. I feel like I'm like, okay, I've been here before. I know, like, again, everything in the rearview mirror, you're like, oh, it all makes sense. Like, everything always works out the way it's supposed to. So I think that's also why my anxiety's at bay.
Yeah.
But I'm at this phase or stage in my life where I've been listening to people that I admire, whether that's people that I do know or don't know. And the one conclusion I've come to is that all these people have taken their lives into their own hands and created what they want just from their own inspiration and ideas, and not conforming to what other people think they should or shouldn't do. And I think I'm at that stage now, and I want to fully embrace it, and find what that means for me. So I hope that means to create more. I hope that means to put my ideas out in the world. I hope people will see more of what I can or can't do. I'm like, I know I'm going to fail, so I'm going to say can't do. But just what that means for me. And I think everyone at this, maybe call it a quarter life crisis. It's fine if you want to, fine if you want to. Or
I
I'm going to say quarter life clarity. I think that's what it is.
For me, hearing your story, I feel like you're in the second lap of your race. I feel like this is now lap 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like if not lap 3, because of what you went through with dance, got to college, that was lap 1, Fox News, lap 2. Like it's the circle. And again, not to be too prophetic here, but it's kind of that circle of life thing. You're going to come back to those moments. And I think the more you come back to those moments, the more prepared you are. And your perspective right now is so incredible. Jesus, I am going to promote this to every professor I know. This, because I honestly, and has nothing to do with me. You did everything today. I can't tell you how encouraging it is to hear somebody with such a positive perspective on, especially at your age, with the world, there's so much doom and gloom, and you're like still excited about it and saying, hey, I'm invigorated. You should be. And I think you're not the norm. And I feel like at your age you should be, but you're not. That's why I find just your entire story, your entire being to be such a positive influence. I'm so glad I met you. This has been an amazing hour. I want to see if we have any questions. No, just people telling me I feel like JFK, RFK. If anyone does have a question, I always respond. Anybody that watches this on repeat, this will be up on my Facebook page, on my YouTube page. If anybody is looking and you need to hire somebody, we have, is there a better person? And I love that this is my first interview with someone on this new version of this podcast, because it's such a great way to start this with someone that has such an incredible positive outlook. I was so picky, and I didn't want to have somebody come on and do doom and gloom shit and talk about the country and politics. I wanted somebody that was going to be uplifting. And Garbrielle, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I think it's amazing. Thank you. I so appreciate you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm honored to be your first guest. I didn't even know that coming into this. So
yes, I love it.
Again, New York is so serendipitous, and I think, again, being a part of Gutfeld and having you as a guest on the show was meant to be, and we were meant to connect, and it's just, this is a relationship that's going to grow. And you don't even know this, but I first saw you perform when I was going to David Angelo's special taping.
Oh my God,
because I helped produce his show in the Lower East Side for a little bit, just to, as a pro bono marketing thing in my realm of, let's see where I can put my energy. So I saw you perform before I even met you. And then everything's spiraled, not spiral, but domino effect since then. So again, the world is a crazy place. You never know who's going to be coming up next or be in your corner. And this is why I'm like, just meet everybody that you can and talk to everyone that you can. Because again, at the end of the day, everyone just wants to be seen or heard in some way. And everybody, hopefully, if they're a good person, wants to help everybody else grow or just be a friend. So thank you. Thank you. Basically, that's all I'm trying to say.
And for everyone listening that's, a fan of mine and is my age, this is why it's important when you're 55 to listen, and to listen especially to someone who's younger. Because here I am, I step into a situation and I find somebody who I have years and experience in a different life and a different way, but I learned so much from Garbrielle, and she gave me just such a positive influence. And again, if you don't talk to people, you're never going to meet these people. But when you talk to somebody and you meet someone, listen to their story. It's so easy to want to tell your story. I love listening to other stories. And again, it's that going on vacation, talking to a bartender going to be a guest on a show and not, worried about your ego and how you're going to do, but to hear what the producers and to listen what all the people are doing and hear their stories every now and then. Don't talk, listen. And I am so happy that I listened to Garbrielle and I got to hear some of her story and I got to meet her. Again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
For everybody, again, Garbrielle can check the YouTube if you have any questions.
Yeah.
If you want to get in contact her, you can contact me. I will figure out a way to get in touch with her. Everyone, thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, follow, and I'm going to see you in a couple weeks.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Vince.
Thank you, everybody. And let's keep praying for Lucy that she gets better and better. Thank you, everybody.